and welcoming these individuals into the studio. Officer Brian Sanders from the Ludington Police Department. Good morning to you, sir, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And is this early for you or not?
No.
Okay, all right. Just making sure. I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm messing up your shift for the day or anything like that.
No, so I had a shift swap with somebody else, but normally I would be on at this time, so no, this is not early.
All right, sounds good. And as well, Mike Haveman, Sergeant Haveman, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. You've been on the air with us in the past. I'm looking forward to next year with the skate competition. We're going to do that again?
I hope so.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. So let's plan on it. And the two of you are looking to the community to help raise funds. And we want to raise nearly $80,000. That's the goal. And that's not just necessarily all residents kicking in and businesses kicking in. Officer Sanders, you have the opportunity to potentially get some grants here, too, to offset a little bit of that, right?
Yes.
Take us through kind of the foundation of what's the goal of a K-9 for the Ludington area. What's the goal there?
So I guess realistically the goal is, if there's a bunch of different ways that the dog will be useful to us. Big one is drug detection, traffic stops, home search, building searches, stuff like that. But there are so many different ways that the dog will help. We're looking for a socially adjusted dog so that it can be out, with community events. The dog can be out there. People can come pet the dog, say hi to the dog, get to know it. Patrol functions, if we have citizens with Alzheimer's and dementia, if a loved one walks off and they haven't returned when they said they can, we can take the dog to that house and we can try to track that person and find them where they're at. Okay. Police or officer protection, again, just having that dog around. If things go weary and there are more people than we can handle, we can get the dog out and have that as another deterrent until backup shows up.
And one thing that you'd mentioned to me a week or two ago when we were chatting was that, and people recognize that the Sheriff's Department, good morning, there's Mitch Foster, City Manager there, and Ludington. We have his support, hopefully, with the K-9. Yep. I love that. You had mentioned this when we chatted, was that there is a K-9 with the Mason County Sheriff's Department, but it sounds like the resources that are needed here in Mason County, in the Ludington area, are greater than just having one K-9. That's kind of where you're leading to in this the grant and the funding and such, right?
Correct. Yes, Deputy Baum with the Mason County Sheriff's Department, he has a dog, Diego. They do very good work. But the problem is, just like all of us, we all have vacation time, we have downtime, we have training. So if we can have one more dog in the county and one in the city, again, if for some reason he's gone, I'm local, a lot quicker call out time, because if he's not available, then we have to start looking for outside agencies, Manistee, Muskegon, and again, depending on what their handlers are doing, you're looking at maybe 45 minutes to an hour before anybody can show up. Absolutely.
And Sergeant Haveman, that 45 minutes to an hour, every minute's crucial. And we say that not as a cliche or anything like that, but it's crucial when you need those resources like a K-9.
It is. So part of the purpose of the K-9 would be tracking, and that's not just criminal apprehension. So people with, let's say, autism, they have the tendency, if they do go missing, to find water, and or they're attracted to water sources. And with such a thing, if we have a child that goes missing and they have autism, we need to be able to find them as quickly as possible, because as we all know, the city of Ludington is kind of on a peninsula. We're surrounded by water, and we have water running right down the middle of the city with PM Lake. So we need to be able to find those people, those individuals, and those children as quickly as possible. And this is just a tool and a resource that we can use, that we'd have available to us to get to those children and find those people before something bad were to happen to them.
All right. And Officer Sanders, some people will say, well, we have one already. And I think you addressed that in regards to the resources that are available. But is there any other reason why people might not want to fund this, that we can say, this is the reason why we should be funding this? Is there anything there at all?
Well, I know I talked to a business in town, and they talked to the owners, and they were like, well, that's what taxes are for. Well, that owner also lives in Grand Rapids. Much bigger city, much bigger demographic. Our city is much smaller, and so we don't exactly get that tax base like they do, so our taxes are moved around differently. Absolutely. So that's why we're asking for community help through, citizens, businesses, grants, and the like to make this happen.
All right. And that's a very good point because, people want to make sure that their tax dollars go to a good cause. And if it is a matter of taking a few minutes or saving a few minutes with having a K-9 to be able to do that, I think that's crucially important.
Absolutely.
How far are we on this goal? Do you know where we're kind of at this point?
We are roughly about 15,000 with what commitments and donations we've received so far.
Okay, all right, so that's a good start. And there's a possibility of a grant.
Yes.
Take us through that if you don't mind, just a little bit there.
So Chief Jones with the Ludington Police Department, he looked into a grant that would give a bunch of new equipment, and in that was also put some money aside for the K-9 unit. Okay. If we got that, if the grant came through, that would put a very big chunk towards it, but there would still be, donations, commitments that would still need to come in. But again, as of lately, I don't know, Mike, if you have heard anything, but as of last I knew, we still have not heard whether we were granted that or not.
I have not heard, so I don't think that the information's come back yet.
All right. Well, we'll keep crossing our fingers on that. That leads us to this weekend, which is pretty awesome. And I'll bring up my notes on my computer here because you have Avenues and Mini Mall that's participating in the weekend activities. You have the Cluck Bucket, more Cottage Works, Red Rooster, the Sister Bees, Spindrift Cyclesports, Trailhead Bike Shop, Victoria's Jewelry, Wave Nutrition, the Hangar, Moda, My Sister's Closet there. They are coming to the table saying, "Hey, let's support this effort and give a percentage." Some are giving 10%, some are 15%. Avenues Mini Mall, they have some gift baskets that they're going to be raffling off. What do you think when you see businesses say, "Hey, we're going to try to contribute by encouraging people to shop and funnel these dollars to this effort"?
I think it goes to show how great of a community we live in and how supportive the community as a whole and the downtown and all these businesses are of the police department and of the city. I mean, this is a new effort. I think it's kind of new to everybody, the fundraising aspect of it. A lot of people, I'm sure this is the first they've heard of it. So it's nice that the community as a whole is coming together and the businesses are coming together to support us and this idea. And hopefully we can get people out shopping locally and spend some time in the stores. We have a great downtown area and people should hopefully get down and enjoy it. And this is a good cause to go see what's down there.
Absolutely. And what's really great is that, in this, Officer Sanders, in this time of the year, businesses are trying to, tighten their belt a little bit in regards to, hey, the summer wave is over. But that says a lot for you and the team there that they're willing to say, hey, we can sacrifice some of the bottom line there.
Absolutely. And, biggest thing with this too is this was honestly a surprise to me. My wife and I, we walk a lot and we go down to Wave, and we were talking with Julie down there, and she mentioned that there's a group of the businesses on a Facebook group that get together and they just kind of chit chat with each other how things have been. And she asked if she could bring it up. I said, yeah, that'd be great. And she brought it up to them, and I got an email from her saying that they all thought it was well received and they wanted to reach out and put on this weekend that, like I said, nothing I had asked for or even talked about. It's just something they wanted to do. So that was awesome.
Absolutely. And I was actually in that meeting at Ludington Bay when it came up, and it was as simple as, and I think you mentioned, Julie mentioned it, and hey, this is what their efforts are. They want support, and it was pretty unanimous in there. There was no, hey, let's push back on this or anything like that. It was a supportive of the Ludington Police Department and the K-9 unit. So we want the community to come out. We want them to shop this weekend. There's a list of the businesses on our Facebook pages at Hot Country Hits and Mom FM, as well as on our YouTube channel that this is streaming on. So look at those businesses, decide to shop between today and Sunday, and know that between 10 and 15% of what you spend is going to go towards these efforts. Sergeant Haveman, I asked Bryce just a moment ago, how the benefit of this, but from your standpoint as a sergeant, as leading your team, what is that benefit when you look at that resource? If we can get a K-9 as part of the Ludington Police Department, I
think there's so many benefits to it. As Brian had said, there's the detection from narcotics. Narcotics are a problem in the area right now, and to have one more resource to help fight that. The narcotics and drug use is a crime that and a problem and a disease really that goes through all social economic ranges. Everybody is impacted by it in one way or another, and really that's how the whole thing started. Someone in town came to the police department and said, this is a resource that we need to have here because this is a problem that has affected their family. And they said, we need to do this. And we need to get together as a community and really pull together to get this problem solved and help work on it. Now the K-9, with it having more than the capabilities of drug detective, I can't even talk this morning. Detection. That's just an added bonus. With the tracking and the patrol work and finding kids with autism and all of those other things that it can do are just a benefit in helping people and saving lives, and that's really what this is about.
This is great, and hopefully people are behind it. Officer Sanders, I'm going to jump ahead here for just a moment. Let's say that we get the $80,000. What's the process then after that? Do you, do you find the officer, this K-9 officer? What's the training like? Who's the officer assigned to? Do we know any of that kind of information?
Sure. So I will be the handler.
Okay.
It has been determined I will be in charge of the dog. So if we get the 80,000, then the next step is to find a vendor to go through to get the dog. Okay. Most vendors that we've looked at, you're anywhere between a month to 5 weeks for training. Again, that's just getting the dog basically understanding my commands, me knowing the commands, and just kind of the daily training of the dog. From there, once we find a vendor, then it's actually me going for the month to 5 weeks. And that's where the city's going to help out, with the department, because there's going to be a little bit of shift movement, some overtime potentially while I'm gone. And then once the dog comes back and I come back, then it's every month there's at least 16 hours of training. And that's, again, patrol work and drug detection just to keep the dog honed well. And then from there, when calls come in, I go out.
I'm hoping that you love dogs.
I do.
Okay. We're starting there. That's good. And let me extend that question, I guess, is why did you want to step into this role? What's the backstory there?
So Deputy Baum came in to the academy when I was going through, and he put on a really short thing, a little short demonstration about, the capabilities, and I thought it was really neat. There have been a couple officers that have tried to get things going, and for whatever reason they didn't. I knew Mike had kind of worked on it with another officer before, and I said, you know what, let's get a dog for the department. It'd be a great resource. Again, with the drug detection, patrol work, and the community involvement. it's just one of those things to help further positive community police relations.
All right. And I would assume there's some dedication. You'd mentioned this a few minutes ago about having that dog. And obviously, there's a kind of fine line because, it's a K-9, it's an officer, it's on duty, off duty is on duty in most cases too. Mm-hmm. But interacting with the community, being a part of the community, how important do you see that as an element of this?
Oh, I think that's a huge element. I mean, for the most people, Mike excluded, people like dogs.
Wait a second. Do you like dogs or are you a cat person?
I'm not really. We're going to have a talk with Brian about throwing me under the bus later.
That's funny. No, it's all right. But in all seriousness,
most people like dogs.
Yeah.
I know you got Hudson here in the station with you.
Yeah.
You always see people all, walking dogs. Little kids, they love dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So, having a dog that we can have out with us, at the public events, walking around, people can come up and ask me if they can pet the dog. They can have their kids pet the dog, get photos with them. That's huge.
Yeah.
Again, it's right now, a lot of people look at the police in the world and they're like, oh my gosh, that there's, bad people, whatever. This is a good way to get those positive interactions back with the community.
Absolutely. And especially if it saves lives. We have, not on a weekly basis, but we have on a regular basis, kids that run off or any sort of missing person there. And obviously that's going to be a big, important part of this.
Yeah.
A couple more questions and we'll get you back on the streets. And we appreciate you being here during your shift. Guess we have this weekend where the businesses are coming together with the percentages that are going to funnel into this for this $80,000 goal. Mm-hmm. What about afterwards? How do we, as a community, help you and fundraise there?
So as Mike said, this is probably the first time, outside of the commercials that you guys have been airing, this is probably the first time a lot of the people have heard about it. If somebody says after talking to it, hearing us on the radio and go, I would really like to help them out and I would like to commit to it, get a hold of the department and, talk to one of the secretaries and give them your name and number and let them know that you want to commit. And either myself or Sergeant Haveman will get in touch with you and, we can take your information down and how much you're willing to commit to and we can keep going from there.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Sergeant Haveman, this $80,000 is a big goal. Might not happen overnight, but it's going to be that steady fundraising effort until we get to that point. And you were part of this, as Sergeant Sanders said. Do you see this moving forward better this time than maybe some of the conversations in the past?
Yeah, I think with Chief Jones, he had a K-9 and ran a K-9 program in Newark. He's familiar with the process and the fundraising. And I think at this point we have support from the city and the administration of the police department to keep moving this forward. And that's what we're going to do. We have the goal, and we're going to keep moving to the goal until we reach it. All
right. Sounds like a plan. Well, I appreciate both of you coming in. We'll be tracking this, supporting this along the way. We'll provide updates from the radio station standpoint to the listeners, but it is that call out today to kind of a threefold. First, let's get behind this and support it. That's the first part. Second, let's do some shopping. All right, this weekend, let's get out to the businesses that are listed there that are providing a percentage back to this fund. And the third is let's, if we can generate it from a business standpoint, from a group standpoint, maybe it's you get the students involved at the schools, and that's an opportunity there, or just from a community standpoint, and say, you know what, I'll give $5, or $10. Sometimes that effort as a community, that's so much of an embracing of something like this, and I think that's going to be important. Officer Sanders, I will leave the last word to you, if that's all right. Sure. What's your message to the community in regards to this effort?
Yeah. Again, if like I said, I think it'd be a huge asset to the department, to our community, to have a K-9. Again, for all the things that we've talked about, minutes matter, seconds matter in some cases. And like I said, if we have the dog home in our community, we don't have to wait for a dog to come from somewhere else, whether it's, outside of town with Deputy Baum or Muskegon, Manistee, MSP. again, it's just an asset and a tool that we would have here home, and it would be a huge asset. So again, if you feel like, you'd like to donate and you'd like to commit to helping the department make this happen, call the police department, 843-3425, talk to one of our secretaries, give them your name and number, and let them know that you'd like a call back from either myself or Sergeant Haveman, and we'd be glad to help get a hold of you. And like I said, we'll keep plugging away on that donation
Absolutely.
price, and when we get there, we'll take the next step.
There you go. And hopefully the K-9 will visit us here in the studio someday.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. We appreciate that. That would be fun. All right. Well, Officer Brian Sanders and Sergeant Mike Haveman, we appreciate the two of you for coming in today. For the listeners out there and viewers, if you missed this, any part of this segment, it's right there on our Facebook pages, hotcountryhits.com, or Hot Country Hits on our Facebook page, and 102.7 Mom FM, as well as on our YouTube channel. So check that out when you get a chance. Do some shopping this weekend, and let's support these efforts. Thanks to both of you for coming in today.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Us.
Absolutely. It is 8:46 here on 102.7